Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It truly helps keep these stories alive and allows us to continue sharing the human truths behind legendary music. Thank you for being here. There came a quiet moment near the end of Randy Meisner's life when the softest voice in the Eagles finally spoke without fear. Time had thinned his voice, illness had slowed his body, and years of loss had settled deep into his soul. Yet when he spoke, there was no bitterness, no blame, no desire to rewrite history. What came instead was honesty, gentle, restrained, and deeply human. Randy Meisner was never a man who wanted the spotlight. Fame was something that happened to him, not something he chased. And as he reflected on his life, he admitted something few fans ever truly understood. The story the world knew about the Eagles was incomplete. Success had a cost, and for him, that cost was heavier than anyone imagined. Long before stadium lights and platinum records, Randy Meisner was simply a shy boy growing up in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, born on March 8, 1946. Attention made him uncomfortable even as a child. He found refuge in music because it allowed him to express emotion without being directly seen. In early bands, he preferred harmony over lead, blending rather than standing out. Music was never about fame for him, it was about connection. When he moved to Los Angeles in the 1960s, the music industry proved ruthless. He struggled, drifted between groups, and learned early that talent alone was never enough. His time with Poco and later Rick Nelson's Stone Canyon Band taught him professionalism, endurance, and restraint. These years shaped him quietly, preparing him for something bigger, though he never expected what was coming. Everything changed in 1971 when Linda Ronstadt brought together 4 musicians who would become the Eagles. Randy sensed something rare immediately. Even decades later, he would say he knew the band had potential from the very beginning. Yet while others were driven by ambition, Randy remained cautious. As the Eagles found early success with songs like Take It Easy and Desperado, Randy stayed in the background, content to support rather than lead. His harmonies and bass lines became the emotional glue of the band, even if his name rarely stood at the center. While Glenn Frey and Don Henley stepped confidently into leadership roles, Randy remained reserved, believing music mattered more than ego. But success brings pressure, and pressure reshapes relationships in ways few can predict. As the Eagles grew into America's biggest band, life became relentless. Touring schedules stretched endlessly, interviews replaced privacy, and expectations followed them everywhere. For someone already struggling with anxiety, the constant demand was overwhelming. Randy didn't complain publicly, but internally he was unraveling. The band had become a machine, and machines don't slow down for fragile parts. When One of These Nights was released in 1975, it included a song that would define Randy's legacy and quietly destroy him. Take It to the Limit showcased his breathtaking vocal range, and audiences loved it. What fans didn't see was how much it cost him physically and emotionally to perform it night after night. Singing that song wasn't just difficult, it was punishing. The high notes demanded perfection every evening, and the band insisted it be the encore, the emotional peak of every show. Randy's body began to fail him. Exhaustion, anxiety, and mounting health issues followed him on stage. By the time the Eagles entered the Hotel California era, the pressure had reached an unbearable level. The album's success was historic, but the tour nearly broke him. Months on the road turned into chronic pain, and eventually, stomach ulcers began to take hold. Randy tried to explain that he was struggling, but his concerns were often dismissed. What he saw as genuine suffering, others interpreted as weakness. Behind closed doors, relationships grew colder. Randy felt increasingly isolated, treated less like a founding member and more like an inconvenience. He once said all he wanted was 5 men happy playing together. Instead, success had turned collaboration into competition. Glenn Frey's drive for perfection clashed sharply with Randy's quiet nature. Don Henley questioned his commitment. Accusations replaced understanding, and compassion faded. By 1977, Randy was physically depleted and emotionally drained. He felt unheard, unseen, and increasingly expendable. The breaking point came in Knoxville, Tennessee. The heat was heavy, and Randy was already sick before stepping on stage. After multiple encores, Frey demanded one more performance of Take It to the Limit. Randy refused, saying he couldn't physically do it. What should have been met with concern instead exploded into rage. Words were exchanged, tempers flared, and years of resentment spilled out all at once. Randy later admitted he had stayed out too late the night before, a mistake that only intensified the conflict. But the truth was deeper than one bad decision. This was about years of pressure finally collapsing inward. The argument escalated backstage, turning physical in a moment that shocked everyone involved, especially Randy himself. It was completely out of character. From that night forward, everything changed. He later said the band began traveling separately, emotionally and literally. The sense of brotherhood was gone. Randy finished the tour, but his heart was no longer in it. By the final show in September 1977, he knew he was done. Whether he quit or was pushed remains debated. But what mattered most was that he chose sanity over survival in a system that was breaking him. Returning to Nebraska brought an unfamiliar feeling: peace. For the first time in years, he wasn't rushing, performing, or defending himself. But peace came with loss. Walking away from the Eagles meant leaving unimaginable wealth and fame behind. He openly acknowledged that staying would have made him far richer, but money no longer mattered. What he wanted was balance. Still, the emotional scars remained. The sense of being discarded by a band he helped build never fully faded. While others moved forward, Randy struggled quietly to redefine his life. He continued making music, released solo albums, and collaborated with others, but the magic of the Eagles was never replicated. He wasn't chasing stadiums anymore. He was searching for stability. He remarried, focused on family, and stayed largely out of the public eye. When the Eagles reunited in 1994, Randy wasn't invited. Fans were furious, but he said nothing. Silence had always been his armor. A brief reunion at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 1998 offered a moment of closure, but it was fleeting. As the years passed, Randy's health deteriorated. COPD slowly robbed him of breath, strength, and independence. Singing became nearly impossible. When the Eagles invited him to tour in 2013, he was physically unable to accept. Many felt the invitation came too late. Despite everything, Randy never spoke with bitterness. He acknowledged the band's greatness and even expressed pride that younger generations still listened to their music. Personal tragedy struck again in 2016 when his wife Lana died in a tragic accidental shooting. Though authorities cleared him of any wrongdoing, the loss devastated him. His health declined rapidly afterward, and his world grew smaller. He became more reflective, more honest, and quietly more open about the pain he carried. Yet even then, he never lashed out. He spoke with sadness, not anger. When Frey died in 2016, Randy responded with grief, not resentment. Despite everything between them, that chapter of his life was permanently closed. As the Eagles continued their farewell tour, Randy watched from afar, knowing he would never stand on that stage again. In his final interviews, Randy Meisner revealed a simple truth. He felt pushed aside, exhausted, misunderstood. He spoke about illness being dismissed, about pressure being ignored, about wanting compassion where there was none. He never accused, he simply remembered. The separate limos, the cold silences, the feeling of being unwanted. These memories stayed with him long after the applause ended. When he died on July 26, 2023, at age 77, the Eagles released a short statement honoring his contributions. Fans felt it wasn't enough. Randy Meisner had been the emotional core of their sound. His legacy wasn't built on ego, but on humility. He was the gentle soul behind one of the greatest bands in history. In the end, Randy Meisner's story reminds us that success doesn't protect the heart. Even in the biggest band in America, a man can feel profoundly alone. His voice lifted millions, yet his own pain remained quiet. Now that he's gone, his truth matters more than ever. What part of Randy Meisner's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.